First, I'm going to launch Adobe Illustrator by going to the dock and clicking on the AI icon to bring up Adobe Illustrator CC 2018. So while that's launching, the first thing we want to do is create an artboard. So we'll go to the File, New menu, and I've just turned off the startup screen. I can turn the startup screen back on by going to General, showing the startup workspace when no documents are open, OK, and then I should have the startup screen. So if you click on Create New, you of course don't have to have this open, but here we want to go to our project deliverables and check the file name that we're wanting to have for the delivery instructions. So it's GD157, AB1 Wednesday, or AB2 Tuesday, depending on which class you're in. But the file name is going to be starting with a surname. So we'll type in under the preset details, my last name is Bao, and then we'll go underscore 157 underscore project underscore 1. And just leave it as that because the extension will be filled in automatically. So at this point we want to set the document size. So the artboard is going to be 600 points by 600 points. So I already have that filled in, but if you don't, make sure you've got points selected in the units drop down, and then select 600 for the width, and then 600 for the width. And then you can just use tab. The orientation at this point doesn't really matter. Artboards you can set to 1, or there's going to be 3 artboards, so we could create 3 artboards right away, but this time I'm just going to start with 1. So we can see that the our color mode is CMYK, so if I click this open, I can change to RGB mode or CMYK if I want to. So CMYK is actually what we want for this because we're going to be printing this. So we can click on the Create button now, and that should give us a new 600 by 600 point artboard. So that's great. That's what we want. So first step is done. The next step, step 2, is to create a regular sided polygon, a triangle. So to do that, we're going to go to the tools palette, and then select the polygon tool. So click and hold down until you can select polygon tool from the drop-down menu, and then you can create a triangle in the middle of the document. So if you hold down the Option key and then click, you should have this polygon dialog box come up. So the radius defaults to 50 when you start up, which is fine, that's what we want. But we don't want a 6-sided polygon, we want a triangle, so 3 sides. And then click OK. Great, so now we've got a triangle with what we see in the toolbar over here is a white fill and a black stroke. So for step 3, if you don't see rulers at the top and left of the document, select Show Rulers under the View menu. So let's do that. View, and then go down to Rulers, Show Rulers. Great. So if I want to center my document, I can press Command 0, and that will center the artboard within my available screen real estate. Click on the top ruler and drag down a horizontal guide where you release the mouse. So click and then drag, and that will create a guide. So click on the left ruler and drag to the right to create a vertical where you release the mouse. So click and then drag and then release. Make sure that View Guides, Show Guides is selected. So under the View menu, Show Guides. Right now it says Hide Guides or Show Guides. So we can obviously see the guides, that's not a problem. If I click on Hide Guides, the guides disappear. So if I go back there, Guides, Show Guides, that's what you want to see. Now we can change whether these guides are locked or unlocked by going to Guides, Unlock Guides. And now if I use my selection tool, I should be able to click and drag over these lines now, or click them, and they should be selectable. So right now I'm just going to double click on the layer 1 and then rename it to Guides. Then I'm going to click on Create New Layer and create a new layer for the triangles. So I'll double click on layer 2 and rename that triangle. So if I click with the selection tool on the triangle, there's going to be a little icon that shows up. And if I hover over this little blue dot that shows up on the guides layer, it says Indicate Selected Art. Click to select art. So if I click on this and then drag up to the triangle layer, the object actually turns to the red color of the triangle layer, which is what I want. Great. So I'm just going to click anywhere else to deselect, and then click on the vertical guide. Now up at the top, I can see there's an X and Y coordinate. The reference point is right in the center of these dots. So there's 9 dots showing you different positions that these values are referencing. So the X and Y coordinates would reference right now the center reference point of this, this vertical guide. So what I want is for that vertical guide to be positioned at 300 points across, because I know that would be the halfway point on a 600 point wide board. So I'm going to type in 300, and the Y coordinate at this point doesn't really matter because the height of this line is 16,383 points going off on either direction, so not a big deal. I'm going to click on the horizontal guide, and now I'm going to change the Y coordinate to make sure that's exactly 300 points. So now I know exactly where the center of my artboard is. At this point, I'm going to lock the guides, so go to the View menu and then drag down to Guides and then select Locked Guides from the menu. So as you can see, when we select those menu items, there are key commands. These are really useful key commands to learn. So Command semicolon or Option Command semicolon. The Command semicolon will hide or show guides, and the Option Command semicolon will lock or unlock guides. So it's a toggle command. So if I like, I can just turn those guides off and on by going Command semicolon and Command semicolon again. So just get to know your key commands, because that can be very useful to speed up your work. Now we want to position the triangle with the top anchor point of the triangle in the center of the artboard. So the best way to do that is to use the direct selection tool and then option click. So when you press the option, the little plus icon will show up on your cursor. And then when you click, that is going to select all 3 points of the triangle. So then when you move, you are going to move all 3 points. So because I have snap to point already selected, I should be able to click on that top point and then drag it to the center and then let go. So just make sure you have snap to point. View snap to point should have a little check mark right beside that menu item, and that's exactly what we want. That becomes a really handy tool to be able to precisely position your objects visually. All right, so now we have our triangle properly positioned. We want to copy 2 more triangles to align with the top anchor points of the Step 5, use the Option key to copy the triangle to the left and the right of the original triangle, using the Snap to Point setting under the View menu to align the points of the triangles. There should be 3 triangles in positions 3, 4, and 5. Alright, so what we're going to do is Option click on this bottom right corner and then drag over until it snaps to the point and then let go. Because we use the Option key, it copied it. So we're going to do the same for the bottom left corner. Option click on that corner, click then drag across to the bottom left corner of the original triangle and let go. Now we have 3 perfectly positioned triangles. The next step, we want to choose 2 triangles. So we can do that by Option Shift, clicking and dragging across to the triangles. And now those 2 triangles are both selected and all the points are selected. So again, using the Option key and then clicking and dragging from the top, sort of the left bottom triangle. Haha, that didn't work. So I'm going to Command Z undo. Somehow I chose all 3 of these objects. I only want Shift, Option, click and drag, and now click and then drag with the Option key selected and let go when I snap to point. That's great. So at this point I'm going to Shift, Option, click and drag, and that's going to deselect one of the triangles so that I can then Option, holding down the Option key, click, then drag so that I have the top triangle. That's exactly what I wanted.